Hello, welcome. My name is Miriam. I'm a family therapist. This video is about helping children cope with losing games, competitions, races. And the idea for it came in conversation with my colleague, Dr. Roberto Blasco, who's a clinical psychologist. And we were talking about primary school children who find it really, really hard to lose. So they're distressed, they're upset. If they are losing or about to lose, sometimes they will just leave a game. Sometimes they will try to cheat in order to get their way and not lose. And they make playing difficult for everybody around them. Sometimes they've got social problems because of that. People don't want to play with them. And they're just distressed and not happy. And instead of just having fun when they're playing, they're not having any fun. If your children are struggling with coping when they lose, however young they are, there's a lot you can do to help. And you can do this whilst making sure that they build their self-esteem, they build their resilience in a very, very positive way. So I'm going to start explaining what parents typically do with the best intention, but doesn't usually help. And then I'm going to suggest some ideas for things that you could do. Most people haven't heard about them before, so I invite you to stay until the end and listen. So what do parents do? Typically, parents explain, they say, look, everybody sometimes loses, sometimes wins. But for lots of children, the sensitive one, it's not enough. When they've lost, they're really upset and explanation don't go well with them. Especially if we are a little bit irritated with them and they can sense the irritation in our voice. The other thing that lots of parents do is just let their children win. And the intention behind it is really great because you want them to feel better about themselves. You want to make them happy. And also sometimes you just want peace and quiet. You know that if you don't let your child win and if they lose, they're going to destroy the afternoon for everyone. You don't want that. So a little bit of peace and quiet. You want them to feel good about themselves and you just let them win. But there are three main problems with this approach, especially if you do it regularly. The first one is that you're really taking away your children's opportunity to learn how to lose, how to cope with loss. However small they are, they need to learn that they're not always going to win. And people around them that are not their parents aren't so generous, and especially other children, they're not going to forgive them. And they may have problems with their friends if they don't know how to deal with failure. So by letting them win, you are actually taking away their opportunity to learn to become more resilient in an atmosphere and in a surrounding that is loving and containing with you. Second problem with letting them win is that you're not being honest, and lots of children see through it. They will see that you're letting them win and they're going to get upset about it, or at least they're going to get confused because we tell them that they need to be honest and they need to try, but you're not really trying and you just let them win. And for some of them it's really confusing. They are going to see through it. Then the third problem for the children who don't really see through it is that doesn't really make them feel a lot of confidence in you. They need to look up to you. You're the person who's caring for them, who's providing for them, who's protecting them. And if you can't run faster than them and you're also losing all games and everything, how can they appreciate you? They're not going to appreciate you very much. So there are ways to go around it that I'm going to explain. But first, if you like this content, please give me a like, subscribe, and press the notification bell so that you can get a notification for future videos. I'm going to make 4 suggestions here. The first one is to see yourself as a coach. You want to coach your child in being able to lose, and in order to coach your child you need to make some time for it. You need to choose some games that you'd like to play with your child and make sure that it's done one-to-one. So if there are other siblings or if there are other parents who want to contribute, you can alternate, but the more people, the more complicated it's going to be. So it's best it's just you and your child. My second suggestion is to have a very short preparation before you start playing. And you do this by asking a couple of questions, not explaining, asking. So you're going to ask something like, one of us is going to win, one of us is going to lose. Is it going to be really difficult for you? Are you going to get really upset if you lose? Or are you going to think, oh well, you win some, you lose some, it doesn't matter. Or you can say, if you're going to lose, are you going to be this upset, this upset, this upset, or terribly, awfully upset? Or are you going to think, just like this? And get your child to answer you. By doing this, your child is going to reflect on a situation, imagine themselves in it, and then giving you an answer. You bring into their consciousness something that was automatic before. You can also pause in the middle of the game if you're thinking your child may be losing and ask, is it going to be difficult? Are you okay? It doesn't really matter. Ask them. The third one is to replace the idea of letting your child win. And what I'm proposing is that you put a handicap on yourself and then you play for real. And I'm going to explain. Say you're playing Jenga, which I think is a great game for this. You can say something like, I've been playing it for many years, since I was a child like you, so I'm only going to use two of my fingers, but you can use both your hands. Whatever it is, put a handicap on yourself. If you're racing, you can start slightly later, or you can start behind your child and make it fair. Obviously, you want to explain that this is something that you do with adults. That's not something that you do with children, because other children are like you. But when you play with grown-ups, it's only fair that they have it a little bit more difficult because they're bigger and they're more experienced. Of course, very occasionally, you don't have to play to your full ability. If you see your child losing again and again, you don't want to break their spirit. But if you plan it right, then you can make it so that it's harder for you and that your child's got a really good chance of winning, and then you both celebrate it together. And the fourth one is about complimenting them and praising them when they are good losers. And you can do it straight after the game, give them a hug, say, wow, you're so much more resilient, you're like an older child. Or later in the day or before bedtime, you can just reflect and say how better they've become, praise it in front of other people, the other parent. Just make it, celebrate it, make it clear that you really appreciate it, that they are learning to lose. So this is it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, put in the comments whether you've tried it, what you think about it. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.